Oh, hello, hello. Oh,
Hello, how are you?
hello. How are you? Welcome, welcome.
Good, thanks.
All
How's everybody
right.
doing?
Yeah, great. Our some of our kiddos had star testing today. So I appreciate you guys like using your last ounce of energy to come and hear our speaker, Chris, today. I think you guys are gonna find he has a really cool background, and I'm excited to hear what you've got to share. So Harbani, would you like to lead us today?
Of course. I think that background seems familiar because when I was on the website of Levitt Pavilion, I saw that picture. So this is all familiar to me. It's all my homework.
Oh, great, great. Yeah,
Yes.
that's my venue.
All right, wonderful. Well, I'll go ahead and introduce and then we can head into our interview. But first of all, thank you for joining us. This is the 8th edition of our speaker series, which is called Speak with the Experts. And then a bit about my speaker series and my organization, Love Against Hate, is my best friend and I were kind of inspired this year by a lot of events. So we came up with the speaker series, which kind of discusses the realm of different fields in the workforce and different individuals and what they do on a day-to-day basis and what their job entails. So we are really excited to have you. And my speech and debate coach, actually, Mrs. Hake, reached out with this opportunity, and we were like, yes, we would love to have someone from your background come on our speaker series. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to introduce you to our class, so I will go ahead and do that. Mr. Chris Sacker is studied at Fontbonne University in St. Louis. You have been recognized by the Denver Business Journal as one of the Denver's 40 under 40 for your commitment and leadership to the city of Denver's nonprofit arts community. You sit on the CIVA Board of Directors, which is an organization that protects and preserves the future of Colorado's independent music venues. And you have the position of Executive Director, which kind of leads us to your prominent title, which is that you are the Executive Director of Levitt Pavilion, which is a nonprofit organization based in Denver, Colorado, where I assume is where you currently reside. So with that title, and additionally, I do want to say you are also an educator, and this is Teacher Appreciation Week. So we have another educator on the call, and you are a lecturer at the University of Colorado at Denver within the College of Arts and Media. So with that lengthy introduction, I would love for you to introduce yourself both professionally and personally.
Yeah, hi. I'm happy to be here. My name is Chris Sacker, obviously. We just went through everything that I do, but I work for NIVA, the National Independent Venue Association. This past year, music industry has pretty much been shut down by COVID-19, and we successfully lobbied for a $16.25 billion relief package from Congress. So I've been spending my time lobbying for most of this year, and right now I'm actually at my venue getting everything ready because we're finally going to reopen on May 14th. So, I've done a lot of stuff over the years. I started out working in healthcare, and then I was in architecture and engineering, and now I've been in music for about 15 years now. So I produce shows from all types of art for all types of artists, from local emerging artists to regional and national artists to international artists. So anything from something that you would see at a local bar all the way up to big giant stadium famous acts. Do a little bit of everything. And music is a tough industry. It's not unlike any other business that's out there. We have commodities to sell, and that's our tickets, and we create most of our revenue through our F&B, which is food and beverage sales at our venues. Most of the ticketing revenue that you pay for a show goes directly to the artist, about 85% of it. So I do all of that, and I'm heavily involved in the arts and culture scene in Denver and in nationwide in general. So what do you guys want to hear about? Let's keep it fun. I teach at the university. I teach 3-level classes, so I'm more junior and senior level in college, and I teach people about venue and festival management and about the industry as a whole. And then, you know, my daughter's a teacher, and I've got a lot of teachers in my family. So it's happy to do this for everybody today. But I want to know what you guys want to know about on the expert side. I don't want to bore you with jargon. You're high school kids. Let's get into this. Okay. So how do I split revenues from food and beverage as well as merchandise you sell? Okay, all right, perfect. Yes, okay, I'll start with this one. I'm seeing some good stuff coming in. Okay, we're gonna start with the top one, okay? The top one is Sydney telling you to turn your cameras on. I do that all the time for college kids, so don't feel bad about it. Okay, what is the most difficult part about managing a venue? You know, the music industry is tough in general. It's a relational business, and that means that you really have to have relationships with people in order to get the shows and the artists that you want. You know, you don't just call an artist, they have an entire team that works behind them. They have a manager, they have an agent, they have a lawyer and an accountant. And I generally deal with the agent. And there's a distinction between an agent and a manager. So an agent, they sell the artist, they book shows for them, and the manager manages all of their day-to-day financials and makes sure that their business is up and running, because the artist is still a business. There's an entire team around them. You know, they might have, depending on who the artist is, anywhere from 5 people on their team to up to 70 people on their team. So when they make all this money, that money gets split out amongst everybody on their team that's working for them. So I think the most difficult piece is always just maintaining relationships. So I spend a lot of time on the road. I spend a lot of time in LA and New York and Austin and Portland and other cities where I'm meeting up with people who I know in the industry and just building relationships. And, you know, what does that mean and look like? You know, sometimes we're just drinking together. Sometimes we're going to shows together. It's building friendships, just like you're doing in high school. And those friendships end up leading to work and giving me what I need to make my venue successful. And there's a lot of competition. So that's the most difficult piece is, do I have the right relationships? Is my venue the right venue for the artist? And, you know, unlike if you were selling widgets or whatever it is, my product changes on a daily basis. So I'm not just selling like shirts and clothes, I'm selling an artist, but I'm selling one particular artist, and then I'm selling another artist. And once I sell that artist, he's no longer in my, or he or she's no longer in my inventory. So I have to constantly be scouting new bands. And I probably listen to more music than any of you could ever wrap your head around. And I know just about every artist there is out there, either personally or through their agents and managers. So what makes a good venue? I'm going to come back to splits on merchandise and food. So what makes a good venue? It depends. You know, venues, I think it's important that your venue is really catering to your audience and to the artist, and that you're understanding that while they are a commodity that's moving in and out of your space, and they might only be there once, that your space is still there all of the time. So you have to figure out a way to make your venue desirable for the people who live within your community. And, you know, some promoters like AEG and Live Nation, who are, you know, international promoters, they don't really own their venues. They do what's called four-walling, where they rent venues from people for the night. So, you know, if you have really great relationships with big national promoters that have the ability to bring through shows that you might not be able to for a variety of reasons, that's what makes your venue really, really good, is if you have some kind of exclusivity agreement with a big national promoter. Splitting revenues for food and beverage, the artist doesn't touch food and beverage. That's all the venues piece. So the split on that, if you're doing the show yourself, you're promoting that show, which means you booked the show, you produce the show, you promote the show, you do all of it. If you're the promoter of record for that night and you own the venue, all of that food and beverage is yours. If somebody is four-walling your venue, there's generally relationships that you build with them where they take a percentage. It might be 50%, 40%, 30%, whatever it is of the food and beverage. And it can get really complicated from there, because you can have minimums and maximums and things like that help to protect yourself at the end, because that's where most of our money is. Somebody asks, are you guys doing concerts online? Yeah, we did concerts online last year. But we're not, I think we're currently doing a few. I'm not really involved in that side of things. I run the company and it's my company, but I've got a lot of people who work for me who do this stuff. And I think we're doing some right now, but concerts online are just really marketing tools. There's not really money involved in them whatsoever. Is being involved in the music industry something you always aspire to do? Wow, Sydney, I don't know. I think, yeah, when I was young, I always thought it would be cool to work in music, but there's not a lot of people that get the opportunity to work in music. There's not a lot of attrition. You guys know what attrition means, right? That's like when people like retire and leave. And there's not a lot of new jobs being added in the industry. You only need so many people that are not just hourly workers or gig workers. A big giant venue like mine that fits 20,000 people, I've only got like 5 full-time employees and everybody else is seasonal. If you want to get to one of those 5 positions, it's really, really hard. It's really difficult. So I think, once I had an opportunity to get involved, I took a major pay cut to do music full time. Made like $100,000 a year pay cut to do it full time, and I'm really happy that I did that because I have a passion for it and I love it. And I work kind of like a teacher since I run an amphitheater. Amphitheaters are like the best space to be in music because you're seasonal, unless you're in like Florida or something like that. Maybe in South Texas. Let's see, how do you book artists perform at your venues? All through relationships. It's all through relationships, and also, where's that artist looking to tour that year? So when an artist plays in a venue, they're on what's called a route. So think of a route just like a route on a map. So you route your cities out, and they figure out what their costs are up front and how much money they want to make and how many shows they want to do. And then because of the relationships that you're building through over the years, either they're calling you or you're calling them about that artist. So the longer you've been around, the easier it gets. But there's competition. And if Sydney was a selling agent for an artist, and there were 3 or 4 of us on this call right here that owned venues, and one of us gave Sydney an offer, she would then call the other venues and say, hey, look, I just got this offer from this person, because chances are 9 times out of 10, she has just as good a relationship with me as she does with those other 4 people. And her job is to do best for that artist. So she's going to shop it after she kind of knows what the market tolerance is. Let's see. As you organize venues for smaller emerging artists, how do you aid in helping them develop? I do a lot of different things for emerging artists, and I'm not like a regular promoter. So I showcase artists at industry events like South by Southwest and Treefort Music Fest and Folk Alliance International and APAP and Billboard and Polestar. And I bring through local artists from Colorado to those events, and I showcase them, which means they play my stage and I fill that room with talent buyers from across the United States who are looking for emerging talent as well. It's a long process to make it in music. Most people, most artists are pretty lucky. They either had like a killer YouTube or a TikTok video, or one of the late night talk show hosts will get a hold of them and pull them on their show, and suddenly they go north. And like a really good friend of mine, that happened to him, a guy named Nathaniel Rateliff, and Jimmy Fallon had him on his show one night because somebody had shared an album with him, and he got famous the next day. So let's see, how do you price tickets? So pricing tickets, so merchandise is priced for the artist, and the venue on average takes either they take a 90-10 cut of soft goods. So soft goods are t-shirts, hats, guitar picks, anything that you're buying that's not music. And then they take about 5% of hard goods, and hard goods is recorded music. But the artist sells them themselves, and the venue is essentially renting that artist that extra space to sell. So they take a percentage of it. That's a great question though. Let's see. And then pricing for tickets, that's a complicated process. You know, what's the market tolerance for tickets is the first thing you're looking at. What's the desire for that artist to be able to sell out your venue in the particular town you're in? So if you looked at an artist like from the Dallas area, like Leon Bridges is worth more in Dallas than he might be in Denver. Not saying he's not worth money in Denver, because he is, but he's worth more money in Dallas. So he can command a higher ticket price in some markets and a lower ticket price in others. So you're really following a lot of things. You're looking at their social media, you're looking at their Spotify numbers, you're talking to people who might have worked with those artists before, and then you're looking at what is their ask. Like buying an artist is like buying a car. You know, you go in and you have it set on what you want to spend on that artist, and that artist management has their mindset on how much they think that artist is worth. Well, if that artist is worth X amount of dollars, you've then got to take what's your available inventory in your venues, that's available tickets that you can sell, and how many different levels do you want? And then can you get to that number that the artist wants to make, plus make money for yourself? I teach a whole semester on this, so it's really hard to give like an example, like, you know, really quick to a class, but essentially it's market tolerance of what they're willing to do. Think of it as like supply and demand issues. 10 years, I never look at anything more than a couple months out. So I can't tell you where I'm going to be in 10 years. I think it's really dangerous to look at life in 5 and 10 year increments, because it changes really quick. So I would recommend to all of you, as you grow up, to like set your goals at like 6 months and 12 months. Don't try to set your goals at 3, 4, 5, 6 years. Who's the biggest name that I've worked with that everybody in here would know? I don't know, what kind of music do you guys listen to? I've worked with Billy Strings. Do you guys know Billy Strings? Billy Strings is like one of the largest artists out there right now, but I've worked with Billy Strings. I've worked with 311. I've worked with Rob Thomas and Matchbox 20. I've worked with, I've worked with so many artists. I don't even know where to go and tell you what everybody would know. Are you guys like all electronic fans? Or I've worked with Lauryn Hill. You guys know who Lauryn Hill is?
To be honest, you could tell us anyone from pop music. We have a very diverse class. We have a lot of Billie Eilish fans in here. I know that.
Yeah, I've never worked with Billie. I've never worked with Billie. Billie went north really quick. Phoebe Bridgers, worked with her. You guys know her? No? Black Pumas, Black Joe Lewis, Gary Clark Jr.
Anybody on the radio?
Right now? God, I don't even listen to terrestrial radio right now. I worked with a lot of country artists. Is there any country fans on here? Josh Abbott, Cody Johnson, Parker McCollum. Worked with all of them. All of these artists are big, but I always have to. I have a son who's 12. He's not much younger than all of you, and I've worked with like Joe Hertler and the Rainbow Seekers. I know he listens to them, and I don't know, a lot of artists. Let's see. Let's see. We'll keep going. How do you advertise your venues? You know, that's all done in-house. So I have a whole marketing team, and we have relationships with all of the media outlets in our market. So we work with radio, television, and print. But most advertising these days, like your highest dollar spends are on social media. So you push a lot. Like we're just getting into TikTok now with advertising, and Instagram popped up with advertising about 2 years ago, and Facebook, obviously. It depends on the show and what's our target market. You know, I'm not a genre specific venue, so I do a lot of everything across the board. I do electronic music, I do country music, I do a lot of Latin rock. I bring up bands from Mexico. We've got a large Mexican American population in Denver, so I go to the Chihuahua region and I figure out what they're listening to there, and I bring those bands up. And those are my favorite bands to bring up, because I can bring up acts that can sell like 100,000 tickets in Mexico City and bring them to my venue for a lot cheaper than what I'd have to pay for them if I was in Mexico City. And they kill. Those tickets sell so fast. You know, the artist side of things wears off really quick, because the average career for an artist is 18 months. So my favorite piece is the business side of it. Like the artists, they're going to come to your venue, and within 18 months, 90% of them are gone. It's really, really difficult to make it as an artist. So I geek out over ticket sales and how much food and beverage I sell. What was the catalyst for action? You know, there is this point in your life where you really it all comes together, and you realize that everybody's faking it. It doesn't matter how old they are. It doesn't matter how young they are. Everybody's faking it, and they're trying to figure out where's their place in life. And you can kind of go two roads. You can chase that dragon and feel like you need to make as much money as humanly possible, and you need to live that life that you see, that bullshit life you see on Instagram every day. Or you can really grab life by the horns and say, I want to be happy. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to do something that I was passionate about. I didn't want to sit in an office cubicle for 60 hours a week, punching a clock, selling something stupid and meaningless that does nothing for people. And music is like the one thing it's a universal language of love and hope and inspiration. And to be in that environment all the time and know that I have an opportunity to pull those strings is pretty remarkable. I absolutely love it. Let's see. God, you guys have a lot of questions. I know we only have half hour, so I'm trying not to get through them. I'm skipping over some of them because I think some are a little redundant to what I've already talked about. If someone doesn't show up, what do you do? Oh gosh, no. If people don't show up, that's a big problem for them, not for me. If they don't show up, they owe me a lot of money, and they're probably never going to get booked again. And all of my friends own other venues. Like I know the owners of at least 3,000 venues across the U.S. personally. So I'll call them, or I'll send them an email, and I'll say, "Don't work with this guy because he didn't show up." You really have to be careful with venues as an artist, because we all talk, we all know each other. We know that when we book Lauryn Hill, that she's going to go on stage 2 hours after she's supposed to. So we build it in. We know when we book some artists that they're going to show up late, so we tell them the show starts earlier than it does. There's all kinds of tricks you can do to make sure they get there on time. And setting up venues, how do you work out acoustic sound quality in larger spaces? So there's no acoustics outdoor. Acoustics is only indoor. So it's just your sound. So acoustics is how sound bounces off of things. So my venue is an amphitheater, so there's no acoustics. I have an entire sound team that comes out and they set up the sound, and then they test it, and we make sure that we're meeting outdoor sound decibel level limits, which every city has, and make sure we're not breaking the law with our sound. How full was the venue and still to function during lockdown? We've been closed for 15 months, so we're an amphitheater again. So our last show was October 8th of 2019. And COVID hit before we opened. We're in Denver. You can't really do anything outdoor in Denver until mid-May. So May 14th, we opened this year, and we've been closed for 15 months. Functioning, we did fundraisers and stuff to try to keep ourselves alive. But, we lost about $2 million being closed last year. So now we got to figure out, how to make all that back. Oh, how do I feel about Her? I used to love that band, Hers. Did you guys know Hers, Hers? They were awesome. They got killed in a car accident. I saw their last show, and they were driving out to California and got killed in an accident. They fell asleep at the wheel late at night a couple of years ago. I never answer questions about how I feel about bands. You know, I can tell you this much: fall in love with their music. Don't worry about how they are as people, because those are often at odds with each other. And you would never know it from some of them. And some musicians are really, really great people, and some are just not such great people. I do not focus on a specific genre. I kind of do. I book my music based off of what my community wants and what they're looking for. You know, I would say that I do a lot of indie rock, a lot of Latin rock, some nostalgic stuff. I love to do country. I don't like country music, but I love to do country music. And that's kind of the key to booking music. You don't necessarily book what you like, you book what sells. Let's see. Well, rap is music, and Cody Johnson. Okay, we're going through any rap artists. I've worked with like Charlie Tuna, and I'm trying to think. I haven't done too much rap. This community isn't a really big rap community, so I haven't done too much on the rap side. How do I make relationships with artist managers? We kind of talked about that. You know, there's conferences that are related, that are really just for industry folks. And a lot of them are closed. They're like private conferences. And once you get invited to them, you just make friends. And then you get invited back and you keep it going. Let's see. we do not have international presence. And I do bring talent from overseas. I bring talent from, I'm trying to think everywhere I've brought them from London, Spain, Mexico City, Colombia, Guatemala, Brazil. And it's a little more difficult to bring international performers through. There's a visa process, and that can be time consuming. And then on the tax side of things, it can get a little complicated. So I don't like to do it too often, but we'll do it from time to time. These bigger, larger organizations like AG or Live Nation, they have thousands of employees that, you know, they've got people that can manage all of that. One Direction. No, One Republic is from Denver. I've done a show with them before. Let's see. Somebody got their tickets canceled. That happens a lot, especially during COVID. What genre? Country music is the most profitable genre there is, hands down. Their audience drinks almost twice as much as any other audience, and electronic music is the least profitable because nobody drinks. And then Dave Matthews, his fans drink like country artists. And in Denver, I would say you're looking at kind of like indie rock and jam bands. So like STS9, and I'm doing a show with them this year, and Lettuce and Yonder Mountain String Band, and all of these jam hippie bands. They do really, really well out here. Where are we on time? We only have 2 minutes?
It looks like we are about at that time, yeah.
Well, I hope you guys learned something. I mean, I really need more time to do this. So now we can drop on them, right? Are you doing that now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and drop it on. So I told you guys I have a surprise, right? Are you ready? Do you want to know the surprise still?
Sydney's my daughter.
Yeah, that's my dad.
So yeah, didn't you guys?
No, wait. Is this real? Or are we getting like?
No, it's real. No punks. Yeah,
my dad.
She graduated from East High School in Denver, Colorado.
Denver East High School. Y'all know that.
She was born in St. Louis, and you know, I haven't. Her mom and I divorced when she was 5, and I'm Sydney's dad.
No way. I think I'm speaking on behalf of the class. No one had a clue. She told us that there was like a neighbor thing or something like situated like that, and I was like, oh, very cool. But Wow. I'm very surprised. Well, that is very exciting. I mean, what a way to conclude our interview.
Yeah.
Clues
Well, there
are
you
right
go.
there. The clues are right there.
You see, you guys know my whole background. You just had to put the pieces together. That's all.
Kind of hard though, Miss Haig. It was really hard.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's this was more unexpected than chords and jazz. Ooh, I like that kid. Who's it?
There you go.
Nice. Biggest plot twist is Sixth Sense. Come on, I knew that. I knew those people were dead the whole time. Come on, sit it together. You haven't seen it, but
Oh my gosh.
yeah, but thanks for having me. And look, if any of you are ever interested in working in the music industry, there's really great programs out there. Berklee School of Music in Boston, the University of Colorado, Denver. There's about 5 programs total. There's another one at UCLA. It's a great industry. It's a really hard industry. You work really, really, really long hours, but it's super rewarding. Especially if you can get into the outdoor music side of things, because you get a lot of time off during the year.
Well, if I could, I wanted to conclude by asking you, after answering all these questions, what would you say is your personal, favorite type of music? Well, what do you prefer listening to?
God, it depends on the week, because I listen to everything.
I would say like old 90s, like
90s rock, like, yeah.
like the Cranberries type.
Yeah, I think right now I'm probably listening most to, oh Jesus. Yeah, I would say like 90s rock is probably what I listen to most right now. I mean, I like singer-songwriter stuff. So I like John Fulbright and Brett Dennen, and I used to be a punk kid, and then I was like a grunge kid, and then a pop kid for a while and a country kid for a while. And I just kind of bounced around. And I think everybody should always keep their mind open. Music is beautiful, and there's lots of different types of music out there. What did Red Hot? Oh, of course I listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah, absolutely. Love them. I listen to everything though. I know some people say that and it's bullshit and they're just trying to sound cool. I really.
God, you can't cut.
I listened. Oh yeah. I've been really good. I've only said 2 cuss words. It was the same one. I listen to everything though. I love Bob Marley. I love reggae music. I love it all.
I still can't believe that I didn't get the hint. I should have known this whole time. I even said in the beginning of our interview, I don't know if you noticed, it's Teacher Appreciation Week. And then you hinted that all of your family has somewhere of a background of an educator, and I still didn't get it. So I'm just very starstruck by that right now.
Yeah, I think there's like 12 of us in the family who have taught or teach at some level of school, from like pre-K all the way up through college. And it's fun. I think that, I teach college, and I'm teaching kids that are trying to get into the industry. And it's kind of twofold for me. One, I've got an opportunity to really get to know kids before I hire them, and then I bring them on as interns. And then if they really knock it out of the park, they get a job. You do a lot of free work in music before you get paid. So it's I like teaching. I like pushing people in the right direction and challenging their minds. But at the same point in time, it gives me this talent pool that I can look at of young kids, because in music you have to get younger all the time, because it's always changing, it's always evolving. Yeah, faster than Nike can make shoes.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today.
Thanks, kiddo.
You guys had some amazing questions. I think this is like the most questions that we've had in a long time. And you didn't even know that I was like sucking up to my dad. So thank you guys.
Yeah. You don't have to suck up with me anymore. You're a grown woman with your own child now. So, yeah, awesome. Well, you guys all take it easy, and thanks for having me.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Mrs.